Hello, welcome to another video on our channel. Here, we share stories from people who have experienced near-death experiences. Today, we will hear the story of Greg Thompson, who claims to have died and discovered how souls arrive on Earth. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. Let's hear Greg's story. In 2013, I went through an experience that transformed my life. At that time, I was facing health problems, especially respiratory ones. I would get tired easily and could barely walk half a block without stopping to rest. One morning, I noticed that my toes were immobile, as if they were frozen and not responding to my commands. I was intrigued, but the surprise didn't stop there. On the same day, I noticed I couldn't move my feet at all. The next day, my fingers also stopped working. I tried to move them, but it was useless. Soon my hand joined the rebellious members of my body, refusing to obey. The situation only worsened. My arms and legs followed the same path, stopping completely. The nightmare intensified when I realized I could no longer change position in bed. It was 4 days of pure agony, and on the 5th day, not even my neck responded to my efforts. At that moment, I felt like I was dying, and the feeling of helplessness was overwhelming. However, something unexpected happened. A violet light began to appear in my field of vision, like a gentle moonlight, and my body reacted to it. I moved towards this light, not understanding what was happening. Then a voice whispered in my left ear, asking, "Why are you still here? You know how to fly away. Just fly away." The voice repeated this message incessantly, but curiously, I didn't react. I was just observing, as if I were outside my own body. At that moment, everything went silent, except for the constant buzzing in my ears, accompanied by the rhythm of my heart. The silence was almost deafening, and I realized my heart had stopped beating. But then, something extraordinary happened. A sphere of souls appeared. Something I had witnessed twice before and had shared with others. It was a golden sphere, about 1.5 meters in diameter, radiating golden energy and flickering white lights inside, each representing a soul. On previous occasions when I saw this sphere, I was in a depressive state. But this time it came to me and enveloped me with an energy of unconditional love. I was enveloped by this feeling of love and safety, as if I were in a cocoon, knowing I was loved and that everything would be okay. The sphere moved towards my feet, and instantly my feet warmed up. I was perplexed, sitting there, absorbing this extraordinary experience. As the sphere continued to envelop my body, I knew something incredible was happening. It was at this moment that I realized what remained. My body was cold and stopped once again, and I repeated, "No, no, no, please, continue." I began to slowly lift my legs, enveloping them with golden energies that gradually warmed as they lit up. When they finally arrived, my arms were extended on both sides of my legs, and the energy spread like a scanner, running through my fingers and hands, enveloping my entire body. When it reached my heart, wow, I was in another place, in the middle of the universe. I simply loved it. It was magnificent. I have always been fascinated by the universe, and now I could feel it. I could feel everything in motion, reacting to each other. It was vast, but I felt one with it. I saw planets and solar systems in constant motion. Occasionally, a meteor crossed our path, colliding with something and perhaps shattering a planet, but then everything mixed again. It was as if the destruction of this place gave rise to something new, and I found that amazing. Destruction turned into creation, and I was utterly captivated. I discovered I could ask a question, so I wanted to know where I came from, how I was created. I found myself inside a gigantic white lamp with many small white lights, each one seeming like a soul, including mine. We were all together, excited and happy, ready to move forward. It was exciting, it was going to be fun, but when I thought about where we were going, everything was uncertain. However, we were determined to do our best, helping in the creation of new things, and that excited me even more. But gradually, I began to feel tired, despite initially resisting. I was getting more and more exhausted until I could no longer fight it. Suddenly, I found myself in an unknown place. There was a light ahead, but I didn't understand what had happened or where everyone had gone. I was completely disoriented. Then I heard a voice behind me say, "Greg, Open your eyes and see." When I opened my eyes, I realized I was in a hospital room. I looked to the side and saw a man dressed in black with a book in front of him. He was reading, and when he finished, he looked at me and said, "Good morning, my son." I replied and realized I could speak and that my body was functioning normally. I told him about the experience I had lived through. Initially, he was worried, but then he relaxed and smiled. He said I was much better now, and that he needed to continue his rounds. Before leaving, I asked why he was there since I didn't follow any religion. But he explained that he made daily visits to those in need. That's when everything made sense to me. Later that day, nurses, doctors, and technicians came to see me, the man who had died and come back to life. It seemed that before we returned, we had planned to be in different states, maybe even to be killed by someone known. It was as if this was part of our plan before reincarnating, a way to experience life and death uniquely. And the other individual, this is for a good friend to understand the feeling of what happened at the scene of the tragedy. Alright, and of course these things called life reviews and the like, when you return, they may question your actions and feelings, and you can provide a proper explanation. And then, they want to know how they felt, and now you can understand how they felt. Well, this is a learning process that we are perfecting, learning more about ourselves and the world around us. To live in a better world, you need to know the opposite or understand why everything remains mediocre all the time. However, if you want to experience true joy, you need to understand what it's like not to have it. Alright, I think that's it. We returned several times with different purposes. Frankly, some of my friends are true soulmates. I know this because we can start a sentence, and the other finishes it. Or they start a sentence, and I finish it. You know, there's a special connection there, even before we get involved in meditations. It's not something I do every day. Sometimes I forget to do it. However, it doesn't hurt to sit and meditate for a while, trying to send positive energy. Initially, I focus on where I am, the place where I live or where I am at that moment, sending good vibes, good energy. This also helps me concentrate to become more centered. When I walk out the door, whether to go grocery shopping or something else, I'm in that calm and centered state of mind. It's not like I'm meditating. It's more like an inner serenity. At that moment I can look inside myself for answers. I can do this alone, and at the same time I can help others by sending energy as I walk down the street. I've been going to the same grocery store for about 10 years, maybe even 15. The veteran employees recognize me and wave when they see me in the aisle. They ask how I am. I don't see other customers receiving that kind of treatment. I believe it's because I stop and notice when someone isn't feeling well, when something is wrong. If they look down, I look them in the eyes, connect with their souls, and smile. It's not just a physical smile. It's a genuine blessing I send to them. And it's surprising how many people smile back. A few months ago, I had a fall, tripped on a patch of ice, and fractured my right hip. That was quite painful. When I started going back to the grocery store, I felt some apprehension every time I passed the spot where I fell. However, I found a method that works for me. I face the situation as if it were a physical place. It's like I can go back there and confront what happened. This helps me move forward. And I will exclaim, "Ah, that wasn't as terrible as it initially seemed. I felt fine. I stumbled, but everything around remained perfectly intact, continuing its course. What I really should do is familiarize myself better with the ground, the forest operating normally. Of course, there's no ice here at this moment or in the opposite situation, but facing this is the first step. It's necessary to acknowledge that there's a problem. In my case, I definitely have one. I can't speak for you, only for myself, and I really need to admit that I'm facing a problem. It's important to identify what's causing this concern, especially if there's the fear of tripping again. Over the years, I'm aware that other issues can arise, not only related to ice, but anything else. Therefore, it is crucial to be mindful of this concern and consider all possibilities. The fall was the result of tripping over something, so maybe I should pay more attention to what I'm doing. I didn't notice the ice that I should have seen, but this is an area where I can improve. I can focus on the path ahead and stop worrying about what I'll do in 10 minutes. If it's the loss of a loved one, the situation is even more difficult. There's no way to escape, but what is needed is dialogue. It's necessary to talk to other people, like a good friend or relative, and seek a support group if possible. Finding a support group can be helpful, as there are shared experiences about losses and other issues that can be discussed. I am also an alcoholic and used to attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. Although I no longer participate, I found it comforting to know that others face the same problem as I did. We are not alone, and this is a vital understanding. It's essential to know that support is available if we seek it. This is my personal experience. I went through 2 situations where I was in life-threatening danger without realizing it. My spiritual guides intervened, pressing on my shoulders and emitting a warmth that alerted me to the imminent danger. It was a sign that I needed to start reflecting on the problem. In both cases, the incidents involved cars. In the first situation, our car changed lanes, and I was aware of the possibility of this happening. I slowed down, and the car that got in front of me passed just inches away, without the driver seeing me. In the second situation, all the traffic lights turned red as I drove through the city, which seemed strange. I discovered I was approaching a busy intersection during rush hour, and a car sped through the intersection, completely ignoring the red lights. My spiritual guides alerted me again, and I passed through the intersection cautiously. After stopping, I realized I wasn't scared or shaken by the incident. Instead, I was grateful to have come out unscathed. These incidents made me realize the fragility of life, and that in both cases, my guardian angels, or spiritual guides, were working hard to protect me. I'm immensely grateful for their intervention. So, what did you think of this incredible story? Leave your opinions in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Consider supporting our work with any amount. The Pix key is on the screen and in the video description. Let's share the hope that there is life beyond what the eyes can see.